Welcome back to part 3, the final part of my attempt to cycle to Amsterdam. Last time I had made it to the outskirts of the Dutch capital. All that was left was the final push into Amsterdam, and then the small matter of how to get home. Join me as I explore the Dutch capital before setting off on the most difficult section of this journey yet. We pick up where we left off, in the world's worst tent, eating the world's worst cheeseburger, but in the world's best city.
It doesn't finish until I get the dam square, that'll be the finishing line, but then I have to find a way to get home. That's disgusting.
Camping Zeeburg was one of the best, maybe the best campsite I've ever stayed at. Really nice facilities, very clean. But with my insomnia, I barely got any sleep. I was up at 5 AM. I cycled straight to the centre and rented a locker near Central Station. This is it, the Dam Rack, Amsterdam. Once I get to the obelisk at Dam Square, I have arrived. If anyone is still watching, please remind me to never do this again. I mean, it's been great, but it's been seriously difficult. But it's been amazing. I'm here and I'm buzzing, and what a mess. So these are what the streets are like. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Give it an hour or so and it'll be clean again. Take it around and clean it. There it is. Dam There it is, my bike in Dam Square. I locked the bike up in an underground bike parking area, and then of course it was time to visit some coffee shops. So before this trip, I wanted to maximise the amount of coffee shops that I could visit and film in. So I contacted some of them beforehand and asked for permission to film. But I was shocked to get replies from some of the biggest coffee shops in Amsterdam. The original Damp Kring, for instance, were amazingly helpful. The manager got out all the strains and showed me them and let me film them. He even gave me a copy of the menu to take home and put on my wall. Now, you can't buy these things, this is seriously cool. And when I was offered it, I was a bit hesitant because I didn't know how I would get it home, but I'm so glad that I took it, and this is kind of like my trophy for cycling to Amsterdam now, hanging on my wall. Quality and the levels in the coffee shops at the moment these days in Amsterdam is really unbelievable. They all seem to have stepped their game up. Was Canal Pride in Amsterdam last night. I think these balloons are feeling about as hungover as most of the people that are here. My hostel was situated just next to the Vondel Park, one of the nicest parks in Amsterdam. This is a great place to go and have a chill, to have a smoke, have some edibles, walk around the park. chilling in my hostel now. This hostel is pretty shit, but it cost me £1.45. Unbelievable. So just an update on how I'm feeling. My hands are a complete mess. Both my little fingers are completely numb and tingly, and it's really getting on my nerves. And my ring fingers are, this one's really bad as well, pretty numb, and this one's just starting to feel it a bit. The palms of my hands around here are so sore. It's like a sort of pins and needles. Oh, it really hurts. Really painful. My legs are completely ruined, my hips, my knees. I've got a dodgy knee, and it's been pretty good for a long time, but it's suddenly getting bad again. I've got, where I've been carrying this backpack, it probably doesn't look much, but oh, these bruises are so painful. Carrying a backpack on there, it's just agony. I've managed to book a train for tomorrow, so I'm going to get a train down to Vlissingen, which is further than I had hoped. It's brilliant news, so I don't have to cycle too far, but it's still, I think, over 100 kilometers. In fact, saying that, over 100 miles. Yeah, over 100 miles still. It was actually about roughly 90 miles or 140 kilometers. So it's a long old way to go, but we'll get there in the end.
Perché a volte anche la stessa persona che viene stai cercando.
So just preparing to board the ferry from Vlissingen to Breskens, and I have wrapped a pair of trousers around my handlebars and taped them on to try and take some of the pressure off my hands, because my hands are ruined at this point. God knows how much of that will work. Tried to find a better pair of gloves, but unbelievably in Amsterdam there are couldn't find any cycling gloves anywhere. So I'll stick with the rubbish gloves I've got and just pack on a pair of trousers. Nice. Also paid €15 for this seat cover, and it might just save my ass, literally. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick it up, but there's loads of jellyfish down there.
seat cover is magical. I feel like I've got a new ass. And the trousers are kind of doing a job as well. Helping out a bit. 7 hours cycle ride, Dunkirk, just under. But of course we know it's going to be a lot more than that. Back against the wind. It's hard work. Here we go, little Mia, slightly broken. Let's give it a go. So, it's probably going to be quite sickly, I imagine. Welcome to Belgium, LG. Goodbye Netherlands, until next time. And next time I will not be riding a bike there. So about 20 minutes have gone by. Just started to rain, so I stopped under a bridge, and now I'm gonna crack on with the Rookies brownie. So I'm not far from Bruges now. There was just a little bit of rain, so I've just stopped for some shelter. I think it's just passing over, so I've just ate an edible. The vaporizer's just warming up, and then I'll be on my way. I really would like to stop in Bruges. I'm just so knackered and I'm so desperate to get home. If the weather stays good, if it's not raining, I think it's only about 6 miles, maybe 10 miles at the most. Hopefully I'll stop in Bruges for a little bit. I'm going to put my bike. Just coming into the city of Bruges.
I had wanted to visit Bruges for a while because I'd heard it was nice, but it really was amazing, really beautiful city.
Under yet another bridge, taking a bit of shelter from the wind. It was raining a little bit. I think it might have stopped again, but I don't know. Or maybe it's just spitting a bit. It's nearly 6 p.m. I've got 80 kilometers to go, which is about 50 miles. And I just don't know what to do, whether to just keep going and try and make it, or whether to just try and find somewhere to camp. It's a bit mad to think to try and make it, because I'm fucked, like, you know what I mean? But it's very tempting, because I don't want to stay in the tent again and have a shitty night and get no sleep. I'd probably rather just be up all night travelling, to be quite honest. So I just don't know if I've got the energy either, so I don't know what's going to happen really. I'm just going to keep going for as long as I can. If I make it by some fucking miracle. If I don't, then I'll find somewhere to camp. I think it's probably more likely that I'll find somewhere to camp now, so I doubt I'll be camping for long, but yeah, get the lie down maybe. So I carried on cycling until it started raining and got soaked through in the end, and now I've had to stop because I got so wet, and I've had to put up the tent at the side of the canal and just have a escape from the rain for a bit. I don't know if I'm going to sleep, but I'll try and chill for a bit. I'm not a good sleeper, so it's not looking good, but at least I'm dry and I can relax a bit in here. Well, I say dry, this tent is rubbish, it's leaking already. I'm not going to be that dry. The big problem is though that my phone battery has died and I cannot find my phone charger, and I really kind of need the maps for the way home. I'm alright for probably 80% of it, and then the last sort of hour or so is going to be really difficult. It was a bit of a maze and I did it at night down loads of little lanes. I've got no idea how I'm going to manage it, so we'll see. Hopefully I can do some more filming tomorrow. We'll see how the weather is. It restricts everything, but we'll see what happens. So this tent is just completely letting water in now, freely letting it in. My sleeping bag's getting soaked. I'm really worried now. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. If I stay here I'm going to get completely soaked through, frozen and ill basically. I really don't know what to do now. If I carry on, I've got to try and find my way to Dunkirk ferry port in the dark, not knowing where I'm going a lot of the way. And even when I get there, my ferry isn't until tomorrow. I might have to try and get on a faster ferry, a sooner ferry. Maybe even pay more if I had to. I don't know. So I'm in a complete mess. Don't know what to do. And then, simple as that, back at the ferry terminal. But no, it was anything but simple. I've just had one of the most craziest nights of my life. I'm gonna have to explain it further when I sit down and digest it all, I think, to be honest with you. But my phone died and I had no maps, and I somehow made it back by asking people for directions and guessing and trying to follow signs and getting lost. Eventually I got close to the ferry terminal, but the only way to get to it was by motorway, and I nearly went on the motorway by mistake, not knowing at first, on my bike. And eventually I came back, turned around, I went to a petrol station, and I thought if I hang around and try and spot someone and just, I don't know, ask some questions. So I saw some dude pull up, get some fuel, and I just went over to ask him if he knew of any way I could sort of get there. And I ended up offering him €30 to give me a lift, so it was worth it just to get me out of there. It had to be done. So yeah, I'm just waiting for my ferry now. I've got an early ferry, 12 hours early. Instead of 4 PM it's 4 AM. and I just can't wait to get home now. It's been one hell of a journey. So what actually happened? Well, I didn't really get any more footage because several reasons really. The weather was making it difficult because of the rain, and all my kit was wet and the lens would have just been wet, but mostly because I felt like I was in a survival situation. I had to get out of there alive. I had to get out of there before I ran out of energy. So I didn't know what was going to happen. It was uncertain, to say the least. But this is a little explanation of how things actually panned out. So I bailed out and packed up the tent roughly around here at about 10:45 at night. Where I packed up the tent was about 48 to 50 miles away from Dunkirk, if I managed to go the right way. So I only cycled for about half an hour before I got lost. Shortly before that, I took shelter under a bridge, and I was eyeing up this bridge thinking, oh, maybe I could stay here, pitch the tent up under here or something, or just get the sleeping bag out. But as I looked around checking it out, there was some other dude up the top camping, and you never know if he's going to be just another dude on a cool mission or the local nutcase, so I didn't want to take my chances. So I got really quite lost, and I can't be sure where I was, but I think I was approximately around about here. And this is when I first asked someone for directions. So it was approximately about 11 o'clock at night, and of course there's the language barrier, there's obviously my lack of knowledge and don't know where I'm going. So I saw this bloke walking his dog, and I asked him, I said, do you speak English? And I said, I'm very lost, can you help me? And I got him to basically point me in the general direction of the next town along that I needed to head for. And he pointed me in the direction of a place called De Pan, and he said you need to cycle for about 10 kilometers. He was shocked when I told him that I was going to Dunkirk. He was like, oh, it's a long way. So I'm not sure exactly how long I cycled for. I think it was probably about 45 minutes or so. And then I got to De Pan. When I got to De Pan, first of all I cycled around for quite a while looking for a sign for Dunkirk, but to no avail. So after a while of cycling around and losing hope, I eventually saw a family near their house, like going into their house, and so I stopped and asked them, and they tried to give me directions. They said go left again, and then right at the roundabout. So I tried, couldn't find the roundabout. I went back on myself, looked around, tried for ages, couldn't find the roundabout, got lost again. Eventually I found signs for the town centre, so I thought I'll go to the centre, see if I can find some people. By this time it was getting dark, it was late, there wasn't people around. I'll say it was getting dark, it was very dark, it was about 11 o'clock at night. So yeah, it was dark, it was after 11 I think, maybe even close to midnight. So then I found these two girls, quite young girls, out having a drink or something, and so I asked them for directions, and although they were typical young girls, not very good with directions and couldn't help me much, they were actually really helpful, because they got maps out in the end, and they got on maps and they worked out that if I followed the tram line, the road which goes along the tram line, then I could go to the next town. So again, that's what I did. I don't really know where I was heading, but I think it was towards the Bray Dunes area. And as I was heading along for quite a while, I don't know, maybe another 30 minutes, and wondering when I was gonna find somewhere, I, in the middle of nowhere really, saw this man staggering along, and he was like some big dude and looked a little bit drunk and maybe a little bit intimidating. I didn't really want to ask him at first, but I thought, oh, well, I better do. So I asked him for directions, and he was actually really helpful again. He just told me basically that all I have to do is stay on the road that I'm on, keep going, and I'll end up in Dunkirk. Simple as that. So that was really helpful. And so eventually I carry on this road, and
all of a sudden I see a place that I recognise, and it's the sign for the French and Belgian border, and I knew that if I went a certain way from there, I could follow a cycle path for quite a long way, most of the way back to Dunkirk. So there was like the cycle path, and then there was the main road, and I sort of they parallel each other, and I sort of went a bit on one, a bit on the other, and eventually I got my way to Dunkirk town. But of course, as I learned on the way there, Dunkirk town is a long way from the ferry port, and it's also quite a maze to find the place, especially going along the back roads on a bike. So the motorway way is signposted pretty well, but this other way not so much. So eventually, and at this point I'm running out of energy, running out of food, everything. I've just vaped my last bit of weed to get rid of it in Dunkirk town, and and then I'm sort of half recognising where I am at this point, because I've been on this trail already, and I see a mixture of seeing signs, and eventually I see signs for the car ferry, so I follow those, and it goes on for ages and ages following signs for the car ferry. It felt like I did 8 or 10 miles or so just following these signs, and eventually it started to lead on to a dual carriageway, and I thought, oh no, this is not good. I followed the dual carriageway, it turned into a motorway, and I was literally cycling on the motorway, and I had to turn around, go back, cycle the wrong way on the motorway, back to the dual carriageway and to a petrol station. And that's when I just stopped at the petrol station, running out of ideas, and I thought, well, if someone comes in, I'll ask them if they know the directions to get to the ferry port, avoiding the motorway. And someone turned up, and it was just a stroke of luck that the first person that I asked, I then decided to ask them, oh, will you give me a lift for 20 quid, 20 euros? He said yes. I gave him 30 euros because I felt bad because I stunk. And I was such a mess getting in his nice car. And yeah, I was so grateful to get out of there. And he gave me a lift to the ferry port. So as soon as I got on the ferry, and I was the first person on the ferry, I went straight for the food. Full English breakfast. I've never eaten something so fast. It was just straight down my neck. And then when I got to Dover, I brought a phone charger in the garage and charged up my phone to get the sat nav, and I had like a 9-mile cycle home, which was very hilly and a bit of a nightmare at 6 in the morning, whatever it was, 5 in the morning when I arrived, but got there eventually. If you made it this far in the series, I'd really like to thank you very much for watching. I've never asked before, but if you enjoyed it, then please do subscribe. It will help me to do things like this again in the future. Well, maybe not quite like this, but you know. The journey was up and down, but when it's all said and done, I have to recommend cycling to Amsterdam. It was an amazing experience, something that I will always remember. Just take a bit longer, take your time. There's so many amazing places to stop at and see. I don't think I would cycle there again in a hurry, but I would love to drive over to the Netherlands and just bike tour around the Netherlands from there, or stay in Amsterdam and do a few trips, day trips, overnight trips to different cities, different places. I think that would be a great way to do it, especially when you can use public transport, get a train somewhere and cycle back. It might not be the fastest way to travel, but it's definitely one of the best ways to see a country. No country is designed better for cycling than the Netherlands. I felt very safe at all times. If I'd cycled this many miles in England, I can't imagine how many near-death experiences I would have had. Us stoners get a bad rap with discrimination about us being lazy,
but medical cannabis gave me the energy, the determination, the motivation to do this. I wouldn't have been able to do it without it. So special thanks to Mary Jane. Leave a comment and tell me how you would have got out of the messy situation that I ended up in. I'd love to hear what other people have got to say. Maybe you have some better ideas. Maybe you could have handled it better than me. What would Bear Grylls have done? And where was Ray Mears when I needed him?